Welcome back to the show, ladies and gents. Thanks for dealing with us and coming back to listen to us yap again. Um, I'm your host, Cece.
And I am B, and today, let us know what we're going to be talking about, Cece.
And it's so funny because like I felt like I needed to introduce ourselves because there was a comment on under one of our videos, and the girl was like, "Oh, something about the girl in black knows what she's talking about," and I'm just like, "Yeah, they don't know our names. Otherwise, otherwise,
Every time you do it, though, I feel like I'm back at school, on that first day, and they're like, sit
oh
here on
yeah,
this
I
slide.
know.
I'm like,
That used to
hi,
be so
my name is
awkward.
Valan.
That used to be so
Yep.
awkward for me. Like you would have
Yeah.
to like
No, for me too.
obnoxiously scream out present.
But you have a normal name. And what I mean is a more common name than mine. Because mine, it's like a 5 minute conversation. I'm like, can we just carry on? Like, can you just go to the next person?
I love your name
Um,
though. I literally
so
don't
do
know
I.
anybody else named Balan. Like,
Thank you. I appreciate it. I love it too, but I hate the conversation that has to go into it. Like, I
yeah.
mean, I'm okay with talking about it, but sometimes I'm like, damn, I'm like really just trying to move on. Like, I'm not in the mood to sit here and explain where it came
It's just my
from.
name. I've had it my whole life. Let's, carry on to the next thing.
I'm not a speech
Anyways,
therapist. Here we go, like trying
I
to
know,
the V, we pronounce it like this. So stupid. But
I
anyways, let's
felt like
go.
I needed to say that. Yeah, so today we're gonna be talking about the girl who didn't overthink everything. And by girl, I mean me. By girl, I mean us. By girl, I mean maybe you were once somebody who didn't overanalyze or wasn't super self aware of every decision that you make. And I want to talk about how that can be a blessing, but also a little bit of a burden and a hindrance if you let it be the driver in your life for too long, if that makes sense. There was like a freedom about being like the unhealed version of yourself. I know that sounds kind of crazy to say, but I do. Yeah, we were just free. We were cringe, but we were free, you know? So I really feel like there were always a couple things that made me carefree. And I didn't really care in general. I think like when I was in my early 20s, even in my mid 20s, I just did not care about people. I didn't really, I was a lot meaner. I was a lot more outspoken. I was a lot more spontaneous. I also didn't have a therapist yet. So that's probably, that plays into a lot of it. But I don't know. It had me thinking like, are there things that I would never do now that I used to do back then because I didn't like overthink it to death, you know?
So I think that like when I think about that time and you use the word that resonates the most with me when I think about it, and that's free. Like I remember as I specifically as I was getting older, um, there was a moment when I started realizing that that freedom was kind of being closed in on. And I remember telling somebody when they asked me what I thought happiness was, I was like, freedom, like to be free. I just want to be
Mm,
free. And you know, they were like, of what? And I'm like, I guess of money, I guess of work, like obviously you're like free of,
definitely work.
responsibility. But it was, I don't know, at that point in my life, I agree with everything you said and it all resonates with me. But for me, it was this spirit of freedom. Like I could do anything. I we think about responsibility, but you still had some responsibilities, like it's not like I was unresponsible so much as I just was free. I had so much hope and optimism, and just
And now we're older and we see how sucky life is and how
right. Well, it's not even
terrible and
sucky,
awful people are.
but it is a burden. Like we were unburdened. It wasn't that we were
Yeah.
dumb or we were like,
It's because we were naive. Like we were just naive. It's not, we were ignorant. I think we were just like ignorant of the world. I think we were just, there
yeah.
was a bit of like ignorance even towards ourselves. And sometimes I feel like I don't want to go places because I am very hyper aware or I am just energetically, I just absorb things a lot easier than other people do. So there's times where I don't want to leave my house. Like there's times where I don't want to go to certain things because I'm just like, I know it's just going to take so much energy for me to go and have to be social and have to like absorb other people's energy and have to. And I just feel like I didn't experience that in my early to mid 20s. If anything, I actually was something just okay. I just had a thought. In my mid 20s, I was so busy trying to avoid my authentic self and trying to avoid actually having to heal and do the work. And I would do that by keeping myself busy and going out, having friends, going to this, like literally saying yes to everything I was invited to. And now that I'm older, it's the complete opposite.
So that's funny that you say that because like, what do you think that you knew at that age or back then? What do you think that you knew without actually knowing? Like, what did she know without knowing she knew it?
That's a really good question. Nobody's ever asked me that before. I think I knew that there was work to be done within myself, but I think I was afraid that if I actually faced that, that it would change the way I perceive things and it would change the way that I view the world. And I don't know if there is anything you can do to change that. I think like you don't get to dictate. I don't think that like I think you do have autonomy and I think you do get to create the person you want to be, right? But I think that there's no way of seeing what that person looks like beyond the healing until it actually happens, I think. So I think I was going through a lot in my mid 20s and I think I was just like really avoidant and I kind of enjoyed being in a space of ignorance when it came to just life and the things around me. And so I would just, be in places, absorb energy, just try to distract myself. But now that I am older and I am a more healed version of myself, I feel like all those things just, it's like it flipped. Like now I'm not really going out or I am more careful about the places that I go to because I am very like self-aware now.
And that kind of brings me to my next question. Like, what's coming up is when did, for me too, when did we start believing that being free meant being reckless?
I think it's a double-edged sword, I think. Because I think that being more emotionally intelligent also means being more cautious and self-critical. And I think that when we were younger, we didn't, I don't know about you, I'll speak for myself, but I wasn't really that emotionally intelligent. Like I knew that I had access to the tools, but I didn't, like I said, I didn't want to use them because I knew that the more that I learned about me, the more I'm probably going to change. And like the way I perceive things are going to change. But I agree with you. And I do think that there is being reckless back then in your 20s was being free because we just didn't know any better. And I don't think we wanted to know any better, to be completely
That's what I was
honest.
going to say. I was going to say that, like, I'm still here standing with all the shit that I did. So obviously I knew better.
Yeah. Now, in
Like I
hindsight,
didn't, I didn't die, doing the stuff that I was doing. I made it, but I did have a nagging, like in the back, of my mind, like
mm,
this is going to come to an end soon. Like this can't sustain. Um,
mm,
but it was like, these are the best years of your life. And I knew it in those years, if that's, it's kind of weird to think of it now. But at the time I knew, like, fuck it, this is all I got. Like, this is it. And if the way I felt back then was like, if I go today, I went happy, like I'm living my life to the fullest. And it's so weird because as I've gotten older, the thought of death, and this is wild actually. Yeah. Okay. So the thought of death now it's frightening to me. It's so scary. Like I can get hung up on it. My anxiety comes from it. But back then I was so okay with it when I was living so quote unquote reckless, so
mm-hmm.
free. It was like if I go now, I have everything. Like I had it all. Like I'm basically I live my life. And I wonder if that's because this is deep. It's gonna be for another episode. But I wonder if it's because we're not living to our fullest right now, you know? So much has changed, so much in all the responsibilities and the hats that we have to wear has kind of dimmed that. Like, I barely get to see her, until it gets quiet at night. And I get a couple minutes
Mm-hmm.
with her and I go to sleep and, my daughter's in my face and it starts. It's like I'm running. The day beats or the day meets me. I know you barely have time for, I barely have time for meditation or anything like that if I don't make the effort to wake up, or if something happens and I'm not able to, I miss out on it. And then I'm only with myself at that quiet time at night. So, and it's weird. It's like now that we're talking about this, it's funny. I always thought it was having kids and all the anxiety. I'm like, now I have a reason to live, so much more reason to live with them. And I don't want to leave them. Of course, every parent feels, the same fears. And I thought maybe that's the reason why all of a sudden death means so much, or maybe it's because I'm getting closer to it, every decade that we go through. But I actually think it's that. I think it's that, or it's worth kind of sitting with. I think it's that we were so free, and I
It's like
definitely knew.
we were a little lost, but at least we
But
were
were
having
we?
fun. Yes, I'm like, at least we were having fun on the way to nowhere. But what you said makes sense because, like, that's really real. Like, there does come a time when you're like, okay, I know that all of this is not going to be forever. So let me just, like, I know that when I'm getting closer to my 30s, I'm probably gonna have to, like, actually be an adult and actually be responsible. And it's just like, I'm not there yet. So
But
let's
I
have
didn't
fun.
have a time on it like at all. And I don't like, I never had like, hey, at 30, like when I get older, I'm going to deal with this. It was just something in it that a feeling I had inside that I was
Mm-hmm.
like, this is now. And it's all about right now. I don't want to say, I understand why you're saying lost. I definitely did not have a map. I would go, I'd wake up, every day
Mm-hmm.
I'd kind of live it as it came. But inside, I didn't know that I was doing what I wanted to do every single day. I was being true to myself. I was pushing the limits that everybody had set for me while I was growing up. So like every limit that they had, everything that I was taught not to do,
Mm-hmm.
I if I wanted to do it, I pushed that limit. Whereas now I think it's a mixture of reasons why we don't do it. And again, it is like you said, we're healed now, or we're in the process of healing. Um, and there is a trap, right? That there's a trap when it comes with healing because if with anything, if you overdo it, it's too much. Um, so there's a real trap, I think, of over awareness when the healing becomes kind of like a pressure or like a almost performance like I have to do this because I'm healed now. And I think that we lose some of that freeness in that. Like it's okay to fuck up, sometimes. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not put on your healed face every so
I
often.
completely agree with that. I think that it's I just feel like my brain needs like a PowerPoint presentation on just making a simple decision. And it's just like I was so back then, I was so spontaneous. I literally just said yes to everything. But
Mm,
I
yep.
think that's when I felt like I had the most of my spark. And I think healing scared me because I thought I was going to lose my spark or change and the reality is that you do change, but you can still keep your spark. Like you can still keep a version of it. And I think you have to figure out how to do that without trying to hold on to your old self. I think there is, again, like I said, I think there's a downside to being self-aware. And I think that there is a upside to being self-aware. Um, but that feeling when your thoughts have thoughts and like they all want to speak to the manager, like I cannot, I want to be released from that. I hate the fact that I overthink so much. I feel like overthinking is the thing that will talk you out of making a leap of faith or making a decision that can potentially change your entire life. And I'm just like, where is that person that didn't think so much? And I think that's what
Right.
we're trying to get into. We're trying to get to the root of this episode. It's like, is she gone? Is she still there? I feel like I was trying to hold on to her after I had my son, and we talked about that in the postpartum episode. And I've let her go, but it's like, do you ever have to fully let that person go? Do we let
I
a
don't
version
think
of them
so.
go? Do
Yeah, I
we,
definitely
you
don't think
know?
so. But I mean, you have to learn to let them live and cohabit together. Um, I do think that there's, like you said, the PowerPoint, the over analysis, the overthinking. It's like, why do I have to? It's exhausting. There's an
Yes.
exhaustion of not
Yes.
letting yourself just be. I think that now we kind of delay our joy, like we pause spontaneity, we kind of intellectualize love. It's like our mind is now the main character. And it'll your mind will work against you. So yeah, there I do think that with the over awareness, and I do think that like true healing, right? Like true healing doesn't mean that you have to decode or overthink every feeling before it's felt because that's what ends up happening. Like we're not even
Yeah.
allowing ourselves to feel. We're just like thinking about it. Sometimes peace is just presence and not processing. Um,
That's good.
and what you were saying about why do we miss the girl who didn't have the need to have it all figured out, right? So I I do think the spark that we left behind isn't really left. I think it's there. I think why it's so bright is because at that one time in our lives where we were free or whatever you want to call it, that's the one time it was just us with the universe. Like, or it was just us. And we got to hear ourselves the most. We listened the most to ourselves. Like think about it. You didn't have people in your head telling you what to do so much.
We didn't have
You now
kids.
were you now were empowered. Your parents, like you are now an adult and you got to listen. And I think that even though it on the outside looked like we were lost, we definitely were in tune and aligned with ourselves, or at least, trying to get there to a
Yeah.
certain extent. And it's weird because like I think that sometimes you see people kind of demonizing past versions of themselves. Like that was back then when I was crazy. Girl, I used to go out to the
Yeah, like
club and
girl,
do
I used to cut
craziness.
up, or girl, I used to,
Right.
yeah, that's true.
And when I hear it, it's like I almost mourn for that person in a sense because I'm like, I hope you're honoring what that version of yourself gave you. Like what it gave you today. And I think that's maybe why we're feeling the loss, like the miss, the mourning
Hmm.
of it, where we have to like reminisce because we're not really living with it. We're not honoring it. We're not still pulling from it.
I also think that overthinking comes from trying to protect ourselves, I think, from like the pain and experiences that we've already felt. Because I was trying to think of like, where did that come from? I think I've always overthought stuff, but I was a bit more impulsive when I was younger. And to your point, I think I mean, I know things are different now because we have families, we have children that we're responsible for, we have different priorities now. And we do have to think things through a little bit more. And I think we do have to, our thoughts have to be more thorough when it comes to our decisions because it's not just about us anymore. But I do think our sense of identity shifts when we become that person. And sometimes I just feel like we're always shifting, our identity is always in like a moving place. And I'm just like, can you just stand still for a second? Can I just like get my bearings? Can I just get used to the person that you are right now without feeling like in another month you'll change again or something else is going to make your identity shift? It's like I'm always having to like adjust to like new things. And it is so exhausting. I think there is massive anxiety with being self aware. It's kind of like you're always watching yourself live instead of just living. And I feel like that is the big difference is back then like you said, we were just living. We didn't have to, if I wanted to go up to the bar at 10 a.m., I could do that
and
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 then
for
go to three
me
more bars at 3 p.m. I like,
and for me, that's the alignment, like in adult form of your inner child and like who you are in that moment was when we were
mm-hmm,
free. Like that's what it feels like for me. Like I, well, right now we're like, remember your inner child, look for your inner child. It's like we were the girls who danced in the rain before we learned about mold. Like
mm-hmm,
it's really it it feels like that version of ourselves, that spark is still there, kind of like you said, trying to catch up. Like, okay, here we go again. We have to do all this stuff. Why did you sign up for this? Why did you
it's
choose this?
like,
Like, this is
damn, we have
crazy.
an inner child. We have a inner teenager. We have an inner, it's just like how many versions of
Hmm.
our past selves do we have to hold on to? And then I'm thinking, like, what if they're all extensions of one another? Like, what if, like you said, like our early 20s, like our 21-year-old self is an extension of our inner child, but like just evolved in a different form. I I guess what I'm trying to say is like I'm trying to find, I feel like I'm continuously trying to find a middle ground between being
Same.
evolved and exhausted. Like it's tiring. And that's what I'm
Like,
saying.
meet
Like,
this
can
new
we just,
version.
yes.
Let's
And
be
it's
friends. Yeah.
always, it's constant. And it's just like, can the ride just like stop? Can it break for a second so I could just, my feet could just dangle and I could just be there and just kind of
Hmm.
adjust? And it's hard to find that peace between who we were and who we're becoming. I feel like we're always becoming. It's like this like constant thing.
But we discussed
Whereas,
this. We're always on a cycle. So
Yes.
we're always
Yes,
evolving.
we did say
Yeah.
that. That's true. That's true. Do you feel like there have been specific things that you have done to try to reconnect with that girl who didn't overthink? Um,
Yeah,
but like, you know, from a healthier place?
for sure. I've probably been in my own work just kind of trying to remember and reconnect without regression, you know? So it's like you don't need to go back to her. You need to welcome her forward. So it's the whole reconciliation thing that you were talking about,
Mm.
coexisting. I've tried a lot of meditation, a lot of spiritual work, but also trying to be present and listen to my inner thoughts and reclaim my softness, because I
Mm.
think a lot of this, a lot of what I had back then, although it didn't look like softness, it definitely was softness with myself, um, with the relationship I have with myself, and kind of without unlearning the boundaries and wisdom that I've fought for, basically like, the growing pains and everything that I've kind of gone through. I've been working on that. I've been working on the art of self-trusting because it's like first there's the art of being self-aware, but like you said, it can be so much.
Is there a
A big
difference, you
thing
think?
for me, yes, because the trusting is far more immediate. I mean, into because the trusting, the self-trusting is far more intimate. It's the relationship. I mean, it's self-aware to me is like listening. And the trusting is for me more so interactive. Like I'm
It's like an
literally having
action
to trust
thing
myself.
with yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Um, and that's probably the hardest thing I've ever dealt with because one of the things that's constantly happening that I don't think we recognize, at least I believe so, is that every time a new version of us is born, we we grow trust or mistrust. There's a mistrust there for ourselves for leaving the other version, um, and that mistrust con- continues to grow and fester if we don't deal with it or we don't, kind of acknowledge it and sit with it and kind of heal from it. So the trusting part for me and like forgiving and like because again, it's like there's a whole part of us that kind of we left behind. Like, oh, that girl
Yeah.
used to do this. Like you said, I don't even go to places anymore because it's just too much. Like once I became self-aware, it's like, well, who made you so high and like mighty? Like I can't a girl
But
can't enjoy
I mean, I
a
still
night
go
out.
places. You know, I'm still very much
No,
outside, but I'm more like I think it through.
but I mean I'm not even talking about the outside perception of you. I'm talking about your old self, your old version with your new version. You're like, no, we don't do that because I'm protecting this. I'm protecting that. So
Yeah.
it's like I do believe there's a spirit in those other versions that we need to kind of heal from and explain and be able to close it
I
or
wish I I wish we were able to understand or recognize when a new version of ourselves is emerging. Does that make sense? I
yeah, like
really,
you want a phone call.
yeah, yes. Or a text or something
Yeah,
like,
get
girl,
ready.
I'm on the way. I'm on the way.
My
Like, you know, so I
ETA.
could
Yeah, no. And
so
the
I could at
universe said,
least be
nah.
ready. So
Mm-mm.
I could at least be ready because like what I don't like what is happening? You know, and I also I'm saying that to say like would it be easier if we were able to like properly grieve past versions of ourselves, would that make the transition easier? Because I don't think we grieve ourselves until we've already entered a new version of ourselves and are knee deep in. It's just like we're dealing with the newness, but we're also having to acknowledge that the past version of ourselves isn't there anymore. And it's just like
Listen,
it's too much. The juxtaposition is just it's stressful.
by the time you realize that you're a new person and that old person is gone, it's like years later. Like
Yes,
it's
that's what I'm
probably two versions
saying.
after. You're like, "Oh, when did that happen? Oh, I didn't realize that." And I think that's just the experience. That's just,
So you're
they
saying there's
say
nothing I can do about that.
I'm saying you can't sign up for no texts or no no notifications.
Can I turn on my notifications?
No. And
Girl,
and
come
like society is
on.
a big part of it too, right? Where everything's so fast. I feel like as we get older, everything just feels faster. It's like we're always being like flung into this this new responsibility or this as I become like a mom or in my career or I'm like, oh, it's time to buy a house now. Okay, that's what society says. Like, oh, I gotta like make sure these
Mm-hmm.
kids are in, so I think it's important also just to kind of unpack how society told us to fear our bigness, our loudness, our emotions, the chaos we were living in when we were younger. It's like
And
they
minimize
told us,
ourselves. Mm-hmm.
right? I think that many of us we start healing when we're taught that our passion was too much, that's when we kind of try to do that reconciliation and we're like, well, why? Why is it too much?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what causes us to kind of look inward and stuff like that. But the truth is that your fire didn't make you a problem or broken. Your fire made you visible.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and healing is not about dimming the fire. It's about learning how to dance in it without burning yourself down. So just like it's a reconciliation. Didn't it make sense?
Constant
Yeah,
reconciliation. It's also wild to me how sometimes being self-aware can make you scared to be your authentic self. And I think that's what I try to be intentional about not doing, especially when I am in social settings. Um, I'm like, okay, let me not overthink myself away from myself, if that makes sense. Like, I still want to be who I am. And I think that's the way that you keep that spontaneity, that you keep those past versions of yourself alive, because they're all interconnected and they all are important and they all are a part of who you actually are and your actual personality. And so I try to get into a space where I'm like, hey, I try to get into a space where I overthink and I use that. I try to treat it like a superpower versus something that kind of weighs me down. And I think you can definitely self analyze and lose yourself because you're just like, you're too self aware and you're just worrying about
for sure.
what other people think about you, or what are people going to think if you say this, or what are people going to think if you do. I
It's
love
too much.
It's too
It's really
much.
too much. Like honestly, and then it's like, well, what the fuck am I doing all this for? Because I'm worse off than I was to begin with, or at least it feels like that. I miss the girl who didn't overanalyze her own joy. Like we call it growth,
Yes.
but sometimes it just feels like overthinking, but with better vocabulary.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's real. That's real. It's
um,
like I miss when my coping mechanisms had more personality. I just was
right.
I but I also think about the girl who I was, and I was not like I also had a lot of not great qualities, you know. So I think if you
It's
are
good with both. Like, there, take the good and release the bad. Like whatever doesn't work for you anymore, release it. And I think what we did was we just went so hard on healing and
Hmm.
we were so, just motivated to be our best selves that in the process we picked up some new bad habits and that we need to release and we need to walk it back and pick back up, the sparkle, the fire we had, the good qualities of it. And they
Yeah.
can live together. They
Yeah.
can coexist for sure.
No, for sure. I think I'm just saying all that to say too that like I think we were so like, oh my gosh, I miss that person. Oh my gosh, like where is she gone? Like, oh, I hate who I am. And it's not even that. It's just like I do miss her, but I also don't miss her because
Right.
she did not have the best, like I think I've definitely repurposed my actual, like I'm still me, but
But I'm not going to punch you in the face when you say something
yeah,
that
like
I don't
I'm less
like.
sarcastic,
Right.
but I still have the sarcasm in me. I just know
Right.
when it's appropriate to bring it out and when it's not appropriate to bring it out. I think I'm
And
just
that's
more aware. Whereas back then, I didn't care if I met you 5 minutes ago, I'm saying something sarcastic, but I don't even know if you receive that in the same way that I like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like I feel people out more now. Versus back then,
right.
I was like, oh, I don't care. You finna get
Because it
20
was
on
about
10
us.
because it's
We were
about
so
me.
right. It was so one sided. Like, and that's what it was. We were just motivated to be ourselves. Now we're motivated to be better versions. And too much of anything is never great. That's what they say. So I think we just listen, like listen with your heart, sit there and really pay attention to what you do miss or the parts that you're remembering favorably and you reconnect. And
Yeah.
I think that's how we bring that girl back in because that girl she may have been chaotic, but at least she wasn't afraid to live her own life. And right now we're living
Period.
a very polished, or we're trying to be, very the healed versions of ourselves and whatnot. But life is about having fun too.
If this episode resonated with you, great, because it resonates with us. I don't know what to tell you. We're all struggling. We're all fighting for our lives. Be kind to yourself and
Be kind.
just be kind. And don't lose who you are, though, in the midst of overthinking. Reframe and repurpose overthinking as a positive tool in your toolbox. Don't let it be the thing that dictates who you show up as, especially
Yes.
if it's anything
Yes.
other than yourself. So that's what I would say.
I
What would you
agree. And
say?
I'd say the same thing. I'd say just pause and listen. Listen to yourself. It's so important to just pause and recognize um, when it feels like you're not shining as brightly as you should, or you're being muted, or burdens, anything that feels heavy, just recognize what it is. Anytime you are talking to a girlfriend about a time when you were happy or a time before marriage, before kids, before 30s, before 40s, whatever it is for you, pause and think about that and why that felt so good and whatever it is that you're discussing that makes you feel so burdened or not so good. And you might not be able to hear it clearly, but if you continue to practice doing that, eventually you're going to learn how to honor those feelings and move forward.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. I also think the one little thing I will add before we wrap is make sure you are around people that don't force you to overthink.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is a red flag. If you are
Yep.
a chronic overthinker, like I am, The last thing you want to
People,
do, say that again.
no, I was going to say people tend to see that in you and give you even more reason to overthink.
Exactly. And that's the last thing that I need. I do not want to be around you if you have to make me overthink about anything, especially anything that has to do with my personality or the way that I show up. Because I'm
I
for
think that's an
everybody.
excellent point.
And if you don't
That's
like it, I shouldn't have to dress it up and put it in a bow for you.
no,
I'm not
honor those
doing it.
boundaries.
I'm not
It's
doing it.
about reconnecting with yourself. It's always about reconnecting
It's
with
always
yourself.
about reconnecting with yourself.
Yeah, and it's always a cycle. You get to some, you do so much healing, you get to a certain point, and it feels like you're starting over again, but it's like, I'm gonna level up because now I have awareness of so much. And then
Yeah.
you go through the circle again and you're back to the start again. You're like, all right, what do I need to shed? What do I need to reevaluate? But it feels like once you've gone through it so many levels, or I don't know how else to explain it, but once you've gone through it so many times, it just feels like, all right, here we go again. This is where I'm at in the cycle. So it's constant. This is the experience. This is what life's about.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Until next time. Bye, folks.
Bye.